right, that was just a tiny bit of Yes's Roundabout. Pretty iconic song. But one of the best known ones that uses a technique that we call harmonics. So, harmonics on a guitar are places where, with a little bit of delicacy, we can get some really interesting kind of ethereal tones. Right? It's been used a lot by like guitarists like Kaki King, and a lot of electric guitarists use like pinch harmonics, and so it's a technique that we kind of want to get into and get you thinking about early. But it takes a certain amount of delicacy. Like we really have to be gentle with the instrument to get these tones out of here. So basically, let's just go through what we're doing here. We're just lightly tapping on the string right above certain frets. And as you get more familiar with this technique, you'll learn where all these are. We're going to start off with just the 12th fret because that's the easiest one and it's the one that most guitarists learn. It's what I was using for the Yes song. Right? So basically, like I said, what we're doing is we're getting right above the fret. So normally when we'd fret a note, we'd push down in the middle of the frets. Right? So if I'm on the 12th fret, I'm actually in between the 11th fret and the 12th fret. That's where my finger is. In this case, we're not going to push down hard enough to actually touch the string to the frets. We're just going to, like as if we were going to mute the strings, right? Kind of like that, except we're going to put our finger in a very, very specific place. In this case, it's going to be right above the 12th fret. So we don't want a whole lot of the skin of our fingertip touching it, just enough to cause that harmonic. And then the trick is, once you pluck the harmonic, you want to get your finger off so the string can vibrate. If you keep your finger on, it'll kind of mute it a little bit. So let's just go right down. We'll start at the high E string. And we kind of have to have kind of a two-handed technique here. Pluck the string, lift. Pluck the string, lift. Right? So let's start with the E string. Then we'll move to the B string. Then G string. D string. A string. And E string. Right? So as you figure out this technique, you'll learn that it's very much a light movement. And we want to be really accurate with our fingers. So another thing you can do is strum all the strings. Just make sure you're lifting that finger as soon as you get done with all the strings. And you want to make sure that your finger's lining up perfectly with that fret underneath of it. Not sideways or backwards like that, but straight up and down with that fret. A little harder to get that fifth one all together. There we go. And then there's one on the 3rd fret too. So basically anywhere there's a dot, there's a harmonic. So we start with 12 because it's the easiest one to find. And then if you want to go to 7, that's kind of the second easiest one to get. And then 5 is a little bit harder. And then 3 is really tough. Yeah, it's really hard to get that one all rolled. Because you kind of got to lift your finger to make that one sound. But practice on the 12th fret. And just see if you can get these to sound all together and get that technique of hitting the string with the pick and lifting your finger a second afterwards to let that harmonic ring. Alright, have fun with it. It's a fun technique. When I was first learning how to play guitar and I discovered how to do these, I fell in love with them and I practice them all the time. So I hope you do the same. It'll strengthen your kind of mind-muscle connection between using both hands at the same time. and getting some of these more delicate, complex movements down. But have fun with this.